Guys, we've really created something absolutely amazing with our new trading school. So the new trading school is not from a host in Banter, it's from Eric Krown. And the reason why I love this course so much is because this course is a course that is designed to mathematically help you to beat the odds of this market. And you know the market's really big. That's not a big secret. And what Eric Krown's course does is it mathematically turns the odds into your favor. It's absolutely huge. I'm so excited for you guys to do it. And I'm so excited for you guys to see the first video, which is coincidentally the story of how this course came about. It's Eric's story. So enjoy the video and sign up to the school.
Welcome to the program. My name is Eric Krown. I want to explain how I went from having literally $0.00 full-on destitution to now, knock on wood, but being financially unworried, I suppose would be the best way to say that. And the lesson that I learned along the way. I came from a trading family, actually. My father was a trader on the floor of Pacific Stock Exchange. Ever since I was 10 or 11, I used to go down to the floor with him and clerk for him, actually. It was pretty fun, and it was a great time. And for me, at that age, especially as I got into, the 18, 19, 20-year-old time frame for myself, I became very anxious about where I was going in life. What am I going to actually do? Because I, up until that date, had been kind of thinking that I was just going to have like a normal job, sit down, put on a suit, work at a cubicle, something like that. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, that caused a lot of anxiety. And then I started to think back to the fun times that I had with my father on the floor of the exchange. And from there, I contacted a few family connections, and I decided to go under the wing of a market maker at that point. He was a market maker in equity options, actually, on the floor of New York Stock Exchange ARCA, which is an exchange in San Francisco. And he essentially mentored me from the beginning, showing me what options were and showing me how to trade them, which was a phenomenal experience, which gave me a lot of confidence. The problem with having confidence, especially when you're a young 20-something male, as I'm sure you can relate to, or if you're female, perhaps you can relate to as well, is that you become way too overconfident and over-exuberant with what you actually know. And for myself, that was no different. I had this tutelage from some really successful traders. I was just coming out of college, and I had all of that testosterone that you have at that age. And unfortunately, I had some success in the first couple of years of trading. And with that, I was trading with my mentor's account, and I started to get a little bit more and more away from the original plan. The market at that time was more or less a straight up market coming out of the 2011, 2012 correction. And I had been, studying all these things that's saying that, hey, you're going to double top over here, and the economy this, the economy that, and my indicators over here are giving me some sort of overbought signals. And so I thought that I was going to be the genius to short the market and be the 𝗫𝗫𝗪 of 2013 or 2014. Now, if you go back and look at the chart, the market was straight up and all I had to do was buy and ride the trend. But during that time, what I did was short and short and short. And as the trend grew, I continued to fight it more because I could not let go of my own ego. My plan was obviously wrong. The market was telling me that I was wrong, and there was visual evidence on my account that I was wrong. Now, before that, I had success, like I said, so I continued to think that I was better than the market, that I was smarter than the market. And because I had this sort of special tutelage that, how could I be wrong? It's meant to be. But the market, as it typically does, has a great way of humbling myself, and I'm sure many other people out there. And I whittled my account down from, at the time, which was a tremendous amount for myself, to zero. And I didn't just get down to zero. When I say zero, I mean $0.00 in the bank account, to the point where I go to the local grocery store. At that time, I really liked ground beef, which if you know anything about ground beef, it's super cheap. And I go to the cashier, I go to cash out with my ground beef for the day. Card doesn't go through. Heart starts to drop, and I kind of have to just tuck my tail between my legs and leave the store. It was a very embarrassing experience, among other things, having to ask friends and family for, $10 here and $10 there to get a lunch for a little bit of time. It was truly awful. So I know what it's like to go from having something to having nothing. And during that time, it was a very emotional time for myself as I hit basically rock bottom financially. And I spent, probably 2 weeks during that time just laying on my couch and feeling sorry for myself, crying. Felt like every day that I woke up, someone had their foot on my chest and it was like hard to really move and breathe. But up until that time, I knew that trading can work. I'd seen it work from my mentor. I've seen it work for the other people who are trading on the floor of the exchange. And I'd seen it with my father as well. And so I knew that it was possible. And I knew that I just needed the right formula, the right plan in order to make this work, because I was very set on it. I loved the lifestyle. I loved everything about it, but I needed to figure out an actual plan, something that gave me an edge. That's really where this program comes from, is creating an edge, which then you can use to create a strategy and derive everything that you need from that. So for myself, I then spent 2 months just meticulously back testing different strategies and very simple things, sometimes more complex. It doesn't really matter what I was actually doing, but eventually I came to it where I actually did have enough evidence from literally manually back testing this stuff with hand on pen and paper. And I had evidence that, okay, if I follow this strategy, then over the course of a few years, here's about what I can expect as returns go, and I can survive off of that. It was nothing crazy. It was nothing like super amazing, but it was enough for me, and that's all that I needed at that point. So what I did from there, and I really don't recommend anyone to do this at all. This is not what you should do. This was a terrible decision for myself, and it could have gone horribly wrong. Looking back on it, there was certainly a degree of luck here. What I did is I took out a loan from a bank, which who the hell knows why they were giving this kid who had really no real job at that point a big loan, or at least what I thought was a big loan. I maxed out a couple credit cards and also got a couple of personal loans from a friend. I had just enough to resume trading, in this case, pretty much under my own account. So I started back, I started small, I started slow, and eventually over time, yes, the trades were working out. Overall, on a singular trade basis, it could be a win, it could be a loss. It's completely fine whichever way that goes. But over time, over a long enough series, ideally, that was coming in alignment with these statistics that I was actually setting out beforehand. I remember the specific strategy that I was working on, that I tested beforehand, gave me a 65.32% strike rate, okay? And it actually worked out pretty damn close to it. It ended up being about 63% over the first few months. Ultimately, that gave me the confidence as I saw this work more and more and more, that the system is what it needed to be, and statistics over time is what mediates success. As the old saying goes, a smart person learns from their own mistakes. A wise person learns from the mistakes of others. You can be that wise person learning from my mistakes and not having to go broke. Or if you already have gone broke, perhaps this blueprint can also be of value to you as well. And I want to be sharing the system creation method that I've come up with a base understanding of how price action works that you can then use as a template for yourself and iterate upon to fit your own preferences. So that is the purpose of this program, and I hope that my story can in some way help. In the next video, we're going to go over the overview of how this whole system works. We're going to define some terms like edge, system, probability, statistics within the realm and the context of technical analysis. I'll see you there.